Well, hello. We are back here at the Southern Fried Tea, and I am so excited because we have such a great show today, you guys. And I know it's smoldering. We're in the middle of summer, but it's even hotter in the studio because I have to tell you, I have, I will say, because I like Beth Moore, but we have the new Beth Moore here with us in the studio. And her name is Kat Armstrong, and she just wrote a book. This is the book, No More Holding Back. And we're just going to get right into it because we have so much to talk about her book and about her ministries and what she's doing and what inspired her to write this disruptor. This is a book that's going to kind of disrupt things about women in the church and our roles and what we can do and what we're limited to and what which we're unlimited to do in the church. So welcome, Kat Armstrong. I'm so excited to have you. Oh my gosh.
It's crazy to be back together. We've partnered on so many fun projects, fashion shows. You've spoken at Polished before.
Yes.
I was looking back at our pictures from like circa 2009.
That's crazy.
So I just thank you so much you're just such a good elevator of women. You just elevate us and you're so encouraging.
Well, thank you. And so are you.
Well, I try.
I remember when you started Polish, you co-founded it with one of your friends out of seminary. And Polish, tell us what Polish is real quickly.
Yeah, it's a network that gathers young professional women so that we can navigate career and explore faith together. And so we're trying to reach women who maybe feel disconnected from a local church or maybe know that they love God, but they feel confused about how like their career now fits in with faith. And so we talk about those things. And, you know, since you've spoken at Polished, we now have 7 chapters.
7 chapters.
It's crazy.
All over the nation?
We've got 6 in Texas, 1 in Oklahoma City.
Okay, so they're in Texas and Oklahoma City.
And we think my vision is to have 100 chapters across the nation by 2025.
Wow.
So we've got a podcast now. We've got resources. It's really grown.
Well, and that was just something God had laid on her heart. You and your friend's heart was women that wanted to work, that wanted to be in the workforce, but, had these and I felt it too before, these competing messages of, well, if you're a good Christian woman, you, first of all, you stay at home, you get married and then you have kids.
Right.
Well, my quandary was I was unable to have kids. Everybody in the church was having kids, but I couldn't. And I felt less of a woman, I have to be honest. And then I always had my career, so I don't have kids. So what am I going to do? I'm going to work,
Of course.
And so whenever I met you guys and y'all reached out to me through mutual friends and asked me to talk, which I was so honored, it was like, wow, this actually exists. Like, this is awesome to have a Christian women's organization that supports women that are in business and encourages them. It doesn't like, oh, well, you better, find a way to stay at home and be with your kids and homeschool your kids. Hey, staying at home is fabulous.
It's
your calling.
So beautiful. It's
a beautiful thing. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. But then there's people that aren't, and that's what we're here to talk about. Because I do have such respect and love for a lot of my friends that stay at home or that homeschool. I taught homeschoolers, so I understand. But anyway, a little bit of history of that, because I remember Kat, she was like a one-woman show with Polish. I remember setting the tables before, I spoke and all of this. And now we have 7 chapters. Yes. You're going to go to how many before?
100 by 2025.
And it's also now self-funded. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the women that are on staff with us, we raise our own support. So the donations that come into Polish to 501c3, they go to starting new chapters and to making sure that we can share the gospel with lots of young professional women.
And that's just her reliance and dependence on the Lord, asking him to take care of it, because he gave her this vision. He gave her this is his vision to use you. You have the privilege of God using you in this endeavor.
Oh, it's such a faith builder to be a part. So this is my 11th year. I just celebrated 11 years with Polished, and we have not gone without.
Isn't that crazy?
God has always provided our needs, whether it's corporate sponsors or individual donors, or whatever it is. I mean, he just provides.
Right, and don't let the angel face and the curly hair fool you, because this one right here, she is a shrewd businesswoman. I have to tell you. We met when you had a business, Baby Bowtie, which was so cute. And I mean, she knew nothing about retail, knew nothing about fashion. And she was in Nordstrom's within 3 months?
A couple months, yeah.
So don't let her fool you, because she is a very strong businesswoman. So let's cut to this amazing book, No More Holding Back.
You think it's a disruptor? I'm like, what does that mean?
I think it's a disruptor. Because I think there hasn't been something written like this. You're trying to break kind of like the chains that I don't know if religion, I know God hasn't put us in chains because he says to go forth, and make disciples of all men. Yeah. He doesn't say until you get married or have children, which I loved in your book that you talked about. Yeah. So, but as women, we're told that we can only do certain things in ministry, especially in Southern Baptist, where I grew up.
Okay.
Women can't teach men, is what we talked about.
Yeah.
So, women can't be trusted to learn, to lead. Yeah. You have in there, I don't have a lot to offer. We don't have a lot to offer. But our greatest joy is marriage, and my highest calling is motherhood. Like, that's all we're defined by. I'm too much to handle, and leading ladies don't fit in supporting roles, which is my problem because I'm not a very good follower. And so
you're a leading lady.
Tell me about how this book came about.
Man, I've just really struggled since I have been an adult to reconcile my faith. I am convinced that Jesus lived and died and rose again. So I'm a Christ follower. I mean, I just unashamedly think that is the truth. But then like you, I had all these career aspirations and I was married for a decade without having a kiddo. And I was trying to figure out, where do I fit? I just didn't feel like I fit. And so what I did in my book is the first half of it is really each chapter talks about the different struggles that I had or struggles that I kept hearing over and over through Polished over the last 10 years. And so I think probably big picture, the book is about gendering the greatest commandment. I think that what we've done with the great commandment, which is to love God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, your strength. For some reason, when I used to read that verse, I used to think that loving God with our heart and soul was women's work, and that loving God with our mind and strength was men's work.
Oh, okay. I never looked at it like that.
You know what? I was just looking at it one day going, am I really all in with Jesus? And I think I am, but I feel kind of scared to learn too much about him. So I was at Dallas Theological Seminary for 8 years getting, a graduate degree, studying the scriptures. And I just felt like I'm scared I'm going to learn too much or maybe outlearn my male peers. And then I've got a super strong personality. I mean, the Southern charm, that's just part of who we are.
Right.
But I can be really strong and really direct.
I've seen it.
You have. You totally have.
No, I love it.
But I was trying to figure out, how do I bring this all together? And will it really be okay and accepted in the church if I love God with my mind and strength? I don't know that it will be. And I heard a lot of messages that only encouraged me to love God with my heart and soul. Yeah, I mean, you've heard that before, that women are the heart and soul of our community, of society, and of the church. And I'm not saying we should love him less with our heart and soul. No. I just think we comprehensively, if we want to be all in for Jesus, we have to bring everything we have to him and say, you know what, you do with whatever you want. Forget the cultural norms. Forget some of these messagings I'm hearing from pastors or churches. I have to be faithful to what Jesus said is the number one priority for all Christians, whether you're male or female. It's to love God and to love others. I know it sounds super simplistic, but this book is really, really a revolutionary take on, if this is the greatest commandment and this is what we do with it, something's got to give.
Well, when I read it in your book, I was like, I loved it, because I remember whenever I was very much involved in ministry until I adopted my son, and then it was so overwhelming because he had a lot of issues that I was like, okay, now my ministry is my family. Now my ministry is ministering to, Isaiah and making sure he's okay, because I was so overwhelmed. But what I realize now is that I wasn't giving it all to God. I wasn't trusting God with that, because I knew that he gave me Isaiah, but I kind of stopped there for a while. It somewhat paralyzed me, and you're right, because you talk about how we kind of stopped all of that, once we have families and things like that. And it's like, no, we need to keep learning. We need to still keep using our mind and loving God with our strength.
Yes.
What does loving God with your strength mean to you?
Yeah, I did like this deep dive, this word study from Genesis to Revelation, looking at the word strong all the way through. And I thought it would have a lot to do with physical strength. I don't know why. That's just what I thought. But, the scriptures totally upended that belief. And what I found in that word is that it's really about this internal strength, this spiritual strength that, in the New Testament, when Paul is talking about we are supposed to armor up. Like, we're supposed to suit up to be ready for spiritual warfare, to know that our enemy wants to bring us down. He doesn't just want to bring us down. I mean, he wants to kill us,
and destroy,
steal and destroy. You know, like, he doesn't want to bother us. He wants to destroy us. And so you have to be almost like a warrior, ready for battle, to battle for what you believe, for the people that you love, for the things you know that are right. And so it's really more about that loving God with all of your strength is saying, you know what, anything I've got inside of me, gut level, that loves God, I bring that to every single situation, at work, at church, at the home, and I don't hold back on that. So I think that's one of my last chapters, is talking about loving God with all of your strength. And I don't know that we see too many really great illustrations of that at church, although I think we're getting better. I think, but the scriptures are full of them. These like revolutionary female figures that are like heroes, co-planning churches, like starting movements, the first to see Jesus risen from the dead, the first to become a Christian in the continent of Europe, like the first to hear that God is I am. I mean, it's incredible how God elevates women, and it shows that they are really, really strong.
Well, I love that where Jesus brought them in to see the woman that was like super poor and had nothing, and she gave all she had, but it was for value wise, it was nothing compared to what the people that were wealthy giving. But because it was all she had, that's the way God wants us to give. And he used that illustration. He used the poorest of poor, no power in society, nothing, a woman for the example of complete humility and sold out to the Lord.
Yes. So this is what's so crazy about my journey, is that after I wrote this book, I felt so overwhelmed. You know, oh my gosh, I've got to be all in for Jesus. And that sounds very overwhelming. And thank goodness that where that comes from is Mark chapter 12. And so Jesus says, you know, what's the most important thing you got to do? It's to love me and to love others. But then moments later, he's with that same group of people, and he says, you know what? See that widow over there, just dropping in those little coins into the treasury box? Her donation is actually more valuable to me and is worth more than all these other folks who are giving from their surplus. And so there's a point in there for us, I think we can take away, which is, if we have a broken heart or a troubled soul or a confused mind or a weakened strength, we still give that to God, because when we give from a place of not having enough, he values it. It's not like our society today, you know, where you're going to have more and do more and be more. I mean, really, God values, like, he treasures the small and the insignificant. He elevates the humble. Like, so this is what he's all about. So I think that when I brought the two things together, you mentioned them, that, oh gosh, I'm too much to handle, but then I also don't feel like I have anything to give him. Right. You know, I think women struggle with both of those things. And I think he addresses them both in Mark chapter 12. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I do too, and I love the way that you kind of just opened my mind about that, you know, because it's like, we've all struggled with this kind of thing. You know, we've all struggled with we're not enough. And like, I'm going through recovery for codependency and some things through my divorce, and just kind of trying to change some behaviors through regeneration in my church. And it's kind of like Celebrate Recovery too, you know. And so God has done a lot of cleaning out of things, which is great. But it's like, I think, oh, well, I have to wait till I'm done with regen, right? Right. And then your book, when I was reading it, was like, no, you don't wait. You do it right then. Absolutely. Like, why would you wait? Because I used to say that when I was younger, because I wanted to be a missionary, and I'd be like, but God, because I grew up in this leave it to Beaver family. Everything was perfect, I guess. And I was like, I've got to go explore, and I've got to see how the hurt is feeling, and go out to the streets, and, like, you know, feel like, how can I help these drug addicts, or how can I help kids, you know, that don't have parents, and I've got to get in this nitty gritty. I've got to put myself, but then Jesus, I'm going to come back because I want to, but I guess it was an excuse just to do what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it's like, no, he meets us where we're at, and he wants to use us right then. And whatever we have, whether it's nothing, whatever, it's something to him, because he judges the sacrifice of the heart.
You have really hit the nail on the head. I mean, this is so common to hear anyone who's going through recovery, I'm in counseling, whatever it may be, and to feel like, okay, well, I'm going to hit a mile marker. You know, as soon as I get like this fixed in my life, then I feel like I can move forward. But I really think that if we looked at that widow's story and realized that Jesus told his disciples, her example is true discipleship. All these other folks given from surplus, it's missing the mark. It's really when we give from a place of spiritual, physical, emotional poverty. And so we don't think of folks who are in poverty as the ones who have the most to give. You know, but if whatever it is that we're struggling with, we can go, you know what, God, I'm just going to give that to you. The very little that I have.
And then watch what he does.
He does amazing things.
Yes. Yeah. That's amazing. Well, I loved also in her book where she talks about Lydia.
I love Lydia.
How Lydia, the study of, well, one thing that changed, and it's kind of pivotal in your book, is what happened. Let's go back a little bit. That when you were in seminary, right? Tell the story. When you were in seminary, this guy.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, so I was really struggling with being there in the first place because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, can I learn too much? And am I too dedicated? Am I too strong? Is my personality even welcome here? So one of the professors that day, he said, hey, let's talk about women learning about the Bible. And I was so excited to participate in this. I mean, if you can't talk about women learning about Jesus at seminary, I mean, where can we do it? So I raised my hand, and in a moment of, I don't know what I was thinking or why I said this, but it was really in my heart to just say, you know what? I'm actually afraid to learn too much about Jesus.
Wow, that is such a transparent moment.
Well, you pay a lot of money to go to seminary. You're like, I'm paying for this. I need someone to help me.
Well, for you to admit that though, in front of everyone and your peers. And then what happened?
He was an incredible professor. So I felt totally comfortable being that vulnerable with him that day. But yeah, one of my male classmates over to my right, he started shouting at me. He raised his voice and he pointed his finger and he said, just stop. And then he explained to the whole class how women can learn too much about Jesus. And when they do, they become a threat to the local church.
Whoa, that is some badonkadonk. That's what I'll just say right there. I don't like that.
And he explained that I would probably hurt my marriage too.
Oh.
Because I would learn too much. And so it's, you know, what's interesting is he and I thought the same thing.
So he confirmed what your insecurities were. So there was Satan right there going, you're right, Kat. You might as well just turn in your books and walk away. Because girl, you just are good for having babies. And
it was really traumatic moment. And thankfully my professor redeemed that moment, right? He like steps in, he's my advocate. He said, he silences the student. He's like, no.
Don't stop.
Yeah, don't stop. He says, don't ever stop, sister of the faith. And that's really stuck with me. And, you know, if you can believe it, that student, so I mean, like, obviously I'm about to ugly cry in class. I am sprinting out the door to the women's bathroom. He followed me to the women's bathroom, and he got one foot in that door. He pried it open and he said, I got one question for you. Why are you even here?
Whoa.
And of course I'm crying, and I did the best that I could to, like, full of stuttering, say, I mean, I'm here for the same reason you are. I'm just here to study the Bible and know Jesus better. And I think honestly, I disgusted him. I think what was on his face wasn't anger. It was just disgust and confusion. And, you know, nevertheless, I went back to class.
Good for you.
You know me. I was like, whatever. I am here for a purpose. And I think maybe him raising his voice at me and saying what I thought out loud to me, I realized, wait, that's ridiculous.
Yes.
I think the same thing as that guy.
Yeah.
That can't be right.
Yeah.
And so that led to this whole book of me trying to do a deep dive of, like, where do women fit in the picture? Like, what's the role of women in church, in society, in God's kingdom? Like, what are we supposed to be doing?
Well, I feel like we're supposed to be doing what everyone else is doing. It doesn't matter, right? Yeah. Is that your whole point?
I mean, really the point is that we need to be doing whatever God wants us to do.
Right.
And that kind of student, you know, I mean, he didn't want my best.
Well, he was under wrong teaching, probably growing up.
Yes.
We'll just say that.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think maybe I was too. I think he and I thought the same way. And so, you know, I had a course correction. I had some deep theological weeds in my soul, and God's just uprooted them. And it's all come from studying the Bible. Yeah. And you know me, I'm all about, and so are you. We're all about studying the Bible.
Yeah. And so then that changed her walk. But then most importantly, study of Lydia. And I want to bring up Lydia because real quickly, she was a cosmopolitan woman.
Yes.
She was, she was a modern day, I would say, not for lack of a better word, Kim Kardashian, but not. I mean, because she was very wealthy, very respected, had her own business, and wasn't married, you said, and maybe had 3 kids, right? But
I did some study on, how was Lydia this single working mom?
How?
How in that first century culture was she operating with so much independence and
Right.
without a man to advocate for her? And how was her business so successful?
Yeah.
And why did she have such a large home? And why did the missionaries, Paul, Luke, Silas, Timothy, when they get to Philippi, why did they entrust the gospel with this woman? And how was she able to get all of her girlfriends to go to a prayer meeting when she didn't even believe in Jesus? She was, a God-fearing person. So I was really intrigued. I'd never seen her story before. And then I got to Acts chapter 16 and I'm like, wait, time out. Are we saying that the first person to come to faith in the whole continent of Europe is Lydia?
Is a woman?
And a single woman at that?
A prominent single woman that had her own business.
Single, and the first
And
time,
helped Paul.
Oh, I mean, she co-founded the church at Philippians.
Philippians.
So if you're familiar with the book of Philippians, we never read, hey, I commend your faith from Paul, and God who started a good work in you will complete it. And I'm so grateful for your partnership in the gospel that, we toiled together to build the church. He's talking to at least one of the people would have been Lydia. And I don't picture this visionary fashionista draped in purple cloth in the center of that church. But you read the book of Philippians now and you're like, wait, Lydia was there. So Lydia co-founded the church with Paul. She funded it with her money.
From her business.
From her business.
Yes.
She led it. It was in her home, so she hosted it. She was super integral as a leader in the Philippian church. But we see that, honestly, in every New Testament church. It's just these hidden figures of these women that are in the Bible.
Priscilla and Aquila.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we've got so many examples, but she was really a game changer for me to realize, wait, there's a businesswoman in there and she's making a difference for God.
Yeah, that's incredible. So now Kat she not only has her book, and this book is going to
it launches
in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah,
3 weeks.
Yeah, on July 9th. So apparently in the digital age, the pre-orders are all the difference. And Leah's making fun of me because I don't even know how to use Facebook. But apparently I've been told by my publishers that pre-orders are the jam. You got to have pre-orders.
You got to have pre-orders.
Yeah, so you can get it literally Amazon, Walmart, Target. It's selling at 9 different places online.
Yes.
And it's on sale right now for $12.
$12, guys. And it's such an easy read. It's so well written, Kat. Oh my gosh. I didn't want to put it down. And I've read a lot of these books where sometimes they can be so dry, but they have great information in them. But yours is so good.
Thank you.
And she not only has that, but now she has a study guide where you could do a Bible study on it. And it's about learning how to love God with all your mind, with all your soul, with all your might and strength, right?
Yeah, it's a 6-week study, so it's super short. I designed it with the professional woman in mind.
Yes.
I mean, I love my friends who can devote an hour each day looking at their Bible. I have about maybe 15 minutes every couple days. And so I designed something that I felt like this is something I could actually finish.
Right.
Because I start a lot of things, don't necessarily finish them. So
I do the same thing.
So I hope people finish it. I think they're going to love it.
And you can buy this too. And then also she has the video, and not only the video, if you don't have a DVD, which a lot of us don't, you can also, it has the free streaming code down here. So if you want to get a group of girls together and y'all have a girls' night once a week or once a month or whatever, you could do a 6-week series on, learning to love God with all your with everything, and kind of a refresher or re-engaging yourself in your ministry, or finding yourself back, or like we say in Regen, we're new creation in Christ. Following really getting that fire back into our souls and our bellies. If you've been discouraged in the church or whatever, but just remember, the church is made up of imperfect people. None of us are perfect, and we're not always going to get along. And we all have to exercise patience and love with each other. And because over the years I've gotten my feelings hurt a lot in church, and then I'm like, well, they're just da 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 da, and it's like, no, we're all like that. We're all imperfect, and that's why we need Jesus, because He's the only perfect. But Kat, you're going to be able to see her and get your copy signed. And she's going to be at the, where are you going?
Oh yeah, Communion Cooperative. We office
Yes.
there. Polished has our office there. We do our
Okay.
co-working space.
Okay.
I'm super hyped about it. There's going to be lots of wine flowing
Okay,
at my
see?
party.
Yes.
Lots of yummy, yummy wine, sips and bites. And I got to learn how to do a book signing. I don't know
Yes.
what I'm doing. We
Okay.
just had Elizabeth Hasselbeck at Polished as a
I saw
speaker.
that.
She is a pro at the book signing. I need to like contact her and get the tips.
Oh my gosh. Well, we are just you can come back anytime you want to talk about it.
Thank
Maybe
you.
I'll do it online with Kat, with No More Holding Back, and we could do
Let's
it with
do
Southern
it.
Fried Tea, which would be really cool because
Yeah.
I feel like we all need to learn that, and we all need kind of a refresher sometimes about how to love God with all of our might, with all of our soul, with all of our mind. And
Yes,
with all of our
everything.
strength,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank
Kat. Thank
you.
for coming.
You're amazing.
Oh, no, you are. Oh, my gosh. I'm the best, the coolest friends. I have to say, thank you, God. Thank you for bringing Kat in my life.
Aw.
And we just ask for extra blessings on your book. We're so excited.
Thank you. Thank you.
And up next, we have the Dear Leah segment that she has her friend on and money guru. And we're going to learn all about the 401k. And I'll say, because I used to have a 401k. Well, I still kind of do, but we're so excited to have you, Faith. Tell us all about your guest, Leah.
Okay, so sometimes I bring my clients on
Yes.
because they're amazing people, and so I decided to bring Faith Keith of Leverage on for many reasons. And she's
Yes.
like, I don't even know what I'm talking about today. Well, she's like CEO woman, mom of 4, and when I first met her, I was like, you do not have 4 kids. She's snatched.
Yes.
And then we start talking about leverage and what she does, and then the 401k, and her whole face lights up, and she starts talking like 200 miles a minute, and you're just like, okay, she really knows what she's talking about,
Right.
and very passionate about it. So I wanted to bring her on today so we could talk all things mompreneurship and, of course, finances.
Oh, yeah, that's so important. So much of us, we always talk about fashion, beauty, fashion, beauty. Well, fashion, beauty. You
need
puts
money.
Our 401k in risk.
Yeah.
So we need to talk about money and money management and budgets and 401ks.
And entrepreneurship.
And
Because some of us
entrepreneurship.
used our 401k to jumpstart
jump
our businesses.
business, yes.
So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I was so excited when Leah told me about it. And oh my gosh, I binge watched your show.
Oh, thank you.
I caught up on everything.
She was telling me. I was like, oh yeah, that did happen.
It was so great. And fashion and just lifestyle, it actually goes hand in hand. I know a lot of people think of it as a retirement platform or a savings platform, and I totally disagree with that. And our company, Leverage, we all disagree with it. It really is an income replacer, and we believe that it has to match your lifestyle.
Oh,
and if
okay.
you put it in that perspective, you think about, I want to live this lifestyle. I want to wear these clothes. I don't want to wear a brown paper bag and, live.
Jeanette can make that look like super chic.
I'm sure she could. I'm sure she could. I mean,
Some of us can.
Some people like to live very minimalistically, and that's great. But if you want to live whatever that lifestyle is, I think it's important to recognize that and say, okay, now make it sustainable for the indefinite future.
Right.
And what I like too is that what Faith does is we were trained that you have to put in X amount of your paycheck, especially if, you were working corporate at some point in time. It has to be like 7%. And then some of us were like, I could use that 7% to go shopping. Or maybe for something else, it's scary. Or maybe you're living paycheck to paycheck and 7% is just not feasible.
Right.
But I think you have some innovative options on, look, you don't have to do it that way, or you don't have to view 401ks like that.
Yeah, I mean, I could break it down in a lot of different ways with the math, but I think that could get really boring. So many people will ask me for the math breakdown, but I really will stay high level here. If you think about putting a percentage away, you really won't actually feel the impact to your paycheck. And I'm sure you guys have heard that before. So if you think about, I don't know, putting in $100, the impact that you'll actually feel may only feel like 50 or 70. You may not even really notice it, but what it's doing in that account is more than what that $100 could have done for you, regardless.
That's such a good, I've never heard it put that way ever.
And I just love it because my favorite part about it is that money is doing something. And yeah, I could spend that. I could buy 20 lattes with that. And I do believe in getting your latte every day. But, when you put that money in there, it's working all the time, nonstop. So, I'm working however many hours, 18 or 20 hours a day, but this money is working no matter what. If I'm sleeping, if I'm feeding my kids, doesn't matter. So I love that aspect about it.
Oh yeah, that is amazing. Well, so what have we been? What like if I came to you, and I said, you know what, I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own business. Mm-hmm. I'm really bad at saving money. I'm really good at spending it.
Yes.
I need help.
Yes.
Do you have like certain plans?
Yes. So in our world, a plan is designed specifically for your company.
Oh, okay.
The way we do it is we actually match up to what the company's goals are.
Got it. Okay.
That's a great thing because you could have a 401k in place, but you really want it to go all the way.
Right.
I mean, especially with small business, you want to make sure your money's working as hard as possible and you're getting the best bang for your buck. So that's really key. Finding your perfect vendor that's going to understand your business's personality and culture, or if you have employees, just a handful of employees, or if your employees are family, all those things your vendor should take into account.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then you can just have like a turnkey 401k plan. Turn it on, you start contributing towards it.
And you just have a percentage that's taken out to where it's like you said. And I love that. That changes like the way I look at it because I always had a problem. Honestly, with what do you call it, tithing, because my ex used to he tithed a lot, and I was always like, really, right now? And that's a selfish thing that I had to work on. But then my church talked about how giving a percentage up front, like you don't even see it, and then it actually you end up creating wealth for yourself because of that. And just like you said with the 401k.
Yes.
That it's working for you too.
And it's amazing. I just talked to this guy a couple of weeks ago, and his story is just great because he didn't know anything about the 401k. We're talking to him about it. We tell him he needs to put money into it and they needs to pick some funds. And I asked him recently, because we've been doing business together for a long time,
right?
Over 20 years, I'm sure. And I asked him, your account is doing so well. I mean, he's getting $33,000 a year just in dividends.
Oh, wow.
That's not even the growth of his account. So I said, what did you do? How did you pick your funds? And he said, well, you told us that it's not really a big deal. He took this long list of funds, and then they're basically different categories of mutual funds. And he basically threw a dart at them.
It was that random?
Yes, he picked, one or two from each category, and that was it. And he said, I've never changed it because they were doing so well. I thought, why move it? Why rebalance?
Yeah.
Isn't that insane?
It is. It really is.
One of the things I like most about this, especially as you deal with mindset and wealth mindsets and financial mindsets, and then you have so many people now in the gig economy that are freelancers. You either work for yourself or, you're not really tied to any company, is the fact that any small amount at this point will do. And I think that's the point that I had to get to as a business owner, was like, just start somewhere. And I'm watching that money grow and I get excited, even if it's just like, okay, I'm just gonna put $100 in here or maybe a couple hundred there, just starting somewhere. And I think for some reason with the 401k, people get really stuck and paralyzed because you don't know, okay, where do I put it? Or, $20, a week is not going to do much, so I might as well just spend it on the lattes.
But it could do, because $20 a week is $100 a month.
Right.
And it's insane. I mean, and the reason why it feels so distant is because it's buried under regulation and really bad conversation. And I mean, our industry, the whole finance industry, talks about savings and retirement in a very gloomy and scary way. And they say that you have to understand all these different aspects of strategy, or you need to take this into consideration. Oh, and then there's Roth, and then there's traditional 401k. It's so confusing. And it really is a very simple tool. It is complex, but it really is so simple. And I think, especially in the economy that we're in right now, the society that we're in right now, we should take advantage of the fact that we all love this entrepreneur lifestyle, that we're in this gig economy. I think we need to take advantage of the way our personalities are leading us and then funnel that into our 401k because it's another side gig.
Right. Oh, it totally is another side gig.
Yeah.
You're so right. you have such good perspective.
I
Like
love
you
that.
totally changed my thought process because I'm always so negative about it.
I told you talked to Faith in a little bit. You just start getting jacked about 401ks, where before it was like, I had a financial advisor at one point where she just, the Roth IRA and the way she would explain it, I think she did it on purpose, made it seem very high level. And I'm like, I'm a very intellectual person.
Yeah.
I don't get this. You know, and
Yeah.
it's an intimidating thing. And especially when so many people like myself, I'm very private about my finances.
Yeah.
So when somebody's coming at you with all that jargon and it's scary.
It
Yeah.
is. And you know, putting money into something that you don't really understand, that's scary alone. And then how do I get my money out? And that's all oftentimes the very first thing that people will tell you is that you can't take it out.
Or you get highly penalized.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the fear of not being, it's like buying a dress and you're not sure about the dress and then you
can't take it back.
return it. So now it's even worse. You have to make that decision. It's not like that though. It's a very simple tool and you can always roll it, especially if you're not planning on staying at your job. Use their 401k, make it work, and then you can
That's
take it
an
with
interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't think that. I would think, oh, that's for the long run. So only if you're going to be there for a while, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what's your? Give me like $3 million tips.
Yeah.
About
you. Ooh,
The government hiding one was
Yes.
clutch.
I
Hiding
do
your
love
money
it.
from the government.
We were
I
chatting
was
about
like,
that.
should you be saying that? This is a good PR move.
exactly.
And she's like, no, it's well known. And I was like, oh, okay, well then go ahead, talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a protected asset. So that's probably one of the best features of the 401k.
Right.
Because
No
creditors
taxes.
creditors can't touch it. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure, there's no taxes, but the government can't touch it unless you're not paying your income taxes, which please pay your income taxes.
Right.
But they can't touch it. So it's a great vehicle, period. If you didn't have any special kinds of investments, I mean, now it's protected, especially from yourself.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
Just
Yes.
it's growing. Let it grow. Just leave it alone, and then when you need it, when you really need it, it will be there.
Okay.
I think the biggest hurdle that everybody has with the 401k is just starting. And so if you aren't sure about the commitment, just do $10 or do 3%. You just start with something that you definitely know you won't feel, and then set a timer on your phone to remind you in 6 months to bump it up.
Yeah.
Now, do y'all have an app or anything like that?
Yes, we
Oh,
do.
you do?
Yes,
Great.
that our clients can use to access their 401ks.
Oh, okay. And change their commitments and
Yes.
that kind of thing on it.
Yes.
So it's easier.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And Faith is so generous. We started a Faith and Finance Friday series and on Facebook, so you
Yes.
can follow Faith, #follow Faith. I like that.
love
All
it.
these F's. But she'll be giving out tips, you know, and we structured it so it's for the layperson to understand without all that mumbo jumbo. In every single video we'll have 3 tips, and there was somebody that reached out on the last one that said, I don't have an employer that has the 401k. What do I do? And Faith walked that person through like right there and was just like, here's the different funds, just start there. And
Yeah.
you know, and I think that was just valuable alone. So if people have questions, definitely, you know, follow Leverage on social media and Faith. Hit her up. She loves what she does.
I do. And I do love the structure of financial strategy and everything. But what I really love is for people to believe in their potential. And I am allergic to basic, so I don't really like the normal conversations in finance.
Yeah.
I love opening up people's eyes, just lifting the hood on the 401k and said, did you know you could do this with it? And I spoke with a woman maybe about 6 weeks ago, and she had 3 different 401ks and an IRA and a credit card debt. And we got her out of debt and consolidated a bunch of her 401ks, left one intact, and we're using that one as a strategy to continue building back up what she had lost.
Oh, okay.
It was pretty
to pay
cool.
back basically what she used to pay the debt.
She was hit with an inordinate amount of fees in one of her 401ks.
Oh,
So
got
we
it.
used one that and let it keep on investing there, and grow it back. And it's just, those are tiny little things, but I just love, lifting it up a little bit and saying, oh, that we could do a little bit of this kind of strategy. And it's so simple.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the biggest things just in life is we just have to be willing to be joyfully tenacious and we'll find it on our own. I don't think we necessarily need experts.
Your name
Isn't
totally
she
fits
awesome?
you. Faith. I just think it's amazing.
My one intern, she had a really good happy hour for these executives last week, and Jada's not here, but you don't know this, but after the event, I just really love Faith. She knows what she's doing, and even if she didn't, she could sell it to you, because she was just like so good. And she said it like 3 times, and I was like, she's not trying to sell you any, like she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
She believes it, and so positively, you can't help but to be like, tell me, okay, take me to your leader. You want me to put in my whole paycheck? Yes, Faith. 'Cause she's just, you don't meet people in finance like that. Like
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's something
Some
we
of them are
we
stuffy.
totally need. I mean, because if you're 20, maybe you don't think about 401ks, but when you're 30 and you're 40 and you're getting, it's like you have to think about those things because it's so important. I mean, what if you get, especially as an entrepreneur, I had a heart failure and I have to be on set. I have to be working to make money, and I didn't work for 3 months. And it's like, what do you do? It's that kind of thing where people don't think about that when they're younger. But I think it's so important to work with someone like yourself who keeps it simple, who keeps it fun and exciting, and, changes your perspective on it because you're working towards something even bigger than yourself, versus just what you feel like spending your money on that day.
It's true.
It's proactive, it's predestined in the sense of, oh, well, this is what, I'm going to wake up and these are my goals and this is what I'm working on. So
Yes.
that's a great thing. And finance should be one of our goals,
Yeah.
I just think about getting more work, but I don't think about keeping more money.
Yes.
I just think, well, I'll just work more.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing.
That
That's
is
the
true.
worst
That is so true,
mentality
Jeanette.
you could have.
Well,
I
you're
think.
just being tenacious.
See?
Yes, I am
See
tenacious.
how
I
she's
will
like,
say
we-
that. But
Okay.
still, I'm nearly 50 and I'm kind of tired of that. It's like, okay, I need to have a plan,
Yeah.
So
And I think if we can also hone in on what we want to be when we grow up or what makes our soul sing, that will define retirement for us.
Yeah, I love that.
If I say, oh, I'm going to retire in 5 years, well, retirement to me isn't a rocking chair or living on a yacht. I mean, that'd be amazing. But retirement to me is doing what I love and propelling my company forward, but not needing to be paid for it.
oh, I like that.
Yeah, so I think if we can really identify what retirement means, it puts it a little bit in a more tangible place where, just like a vision board. I love vision boards because it's right
Wow,
in your
I
face.
love that. I'm going to do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Y'all should do one of those with Faith and Finances.
Let's do it.
oh yeah,
I like it.
Thanks, Jeanette.
I like it.
You will be there.
yeah.
You coming?
No, that's a really good point of view because you can visually see it, and for people like me that are super visual, it's like,
Yes.
oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
Jeanette's will be like all fuzzy with like pom poms and glitter. And,
I love it. I love it.
And fringe.
like my earrings.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I really like that. And then I think what is really cool that you talk about too is like if you do have those dreams and you have something on the vision board, there's people that use their 401ks to kind of make that happen. So there was the girl that founded Black Girls Code.
Yeah.
said, I used my 401k to make this happen. And now look at how much that company has grown. She's made the money back. Like, so it's not just an avenue of put it away and never
Right.
touch it again.
Right. Everyone uses it for different things.
Yes,
for different
exactly.
reasons.
Using it for what you really want to use it for. And
Yeah.
I think that's the difference. So when people will tell you, don't touch your 401k, don't pull the money out to do whatever, really who they're meaning to speak to are the people who are taking it out for a vacation or taking it out
Yeah.
for something that really they could get the money somewhere else to do
Right.
that thing.
Right. It'd be smarter to save just for that or whatever than to take it out of the 401k.
Right.
Because the risk involved is higher. The payoffs aren't as high.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Because you don't want your 401k to be a checking account.
Right.
But an investment platform, sure.
I love that. So where can we find you? Is it Leverage on?
Yes. Our website is getleverage.io.
Oh, okay.
And our Instagram is leverage my 401k.
Okay.
Yes.
And on Fridays, y'all are going to do Faith and Finances through
Yes.
Think Through Media.
They're leverage.
Oh, through Leverage. Okay, perfect.
I may share it. There we
There's
the site. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
Yep.
Empowering your company and your employees with creative 401k solutions proven to bring you the most power.
Yes.
It's fantastic. Just what we want to do with the 401k. I mean, my soul, what I really love is people and people believing in their potential. And so I channel that through our 401k. And I just love, I work with an amazing team, and we all have such great synergy with the same sound.
Oh my gosh.
It's a huge blessing.
I know. We
Synergy with
okay,
the
so
same
we're doing
sound.
an event. This will be fun.
I love it. Yeah, you can even get Bree involved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bree came
You
to the event.
know?
Yeah,
Oh,
that'll be fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love Bree. That's
I love it.
Y'all know I love events and people.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thanks
we
for having
appreciate it.
me.
We can't wait to see more of you and see how involved our community is going to become with Leverage. And I want personally to work with you on something, because I need it so badly. And I love that Leah brings all her people here, because it's like, I don't get out much. You know, I
They're
got 4
phenomenal.
kids. Leah's out everywhere.
I know, she knows everyone.
She
Yeah,
does.
we're making T-shirts because every time I see people, they're like, "Man, we love you, but you're everywhere." So, one of the interns was like, "Okay, you need a T-shirt that just says I'm everywhere." So I'm making a shirt now
I
that
love
says
it.
I'm everywhere. Since that, I hear that probably like 20 times a week.
And making her interns listen to Prince all day long.
Listen, it was his birthday. These are classics. They didn't even know who the Golden Girls was, so that was homework.
Oh, no.
And that's like a no-no, okay? So I was like, oh, look at this cool video I did last year. They were serving Golden Girls cocktails at Pink Magnolia, and they're like, who are the Golden
What?
Girls? And I'm like, I cannot. You don't even know the theme song? This is not happening in my camp. Not today.
We're going to educate you right now. Did you educate them?
I educated, and
Yes.
I said, go home and like YouTube and watch episodes. You have like, if anything, like you have to know Sophia and Blanche. Like
Blanche.
Yes.
Blanche was
Blanche.
naughty, but for some reason, as a young girl, I was like intrigued by this older woman who just like she could pull all these guys. And so like I wanted
love
to
it.
be Blanche, and they don't even know what that feeling is like.
I'm glad you exposed them.
To everything.
Yes. It's okay.
My own mortality is creeping up to me every time we have a conversation.
I know. It's
God.
crazy. Feel
Yeah.
older and older. But
I
that's
do.
why we need to work on 401k.
Yeah, so
Yes.
I can, you know.
Yes.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We had a great show. You guys follow our guests, their books, their programs, their companies. I mean, all of these people that we bring to you are people that we feel that we need in our life at where we're at right now, and we know that you can totally benefit from learning from their books and from their companies as well. So, anyway, you guys have a great week. I'll see you next Friday live here at the Southern Fried Tea.